What if you had a brain sensing device so powerful that you could just throw it on, connect it to your computer, and then imagine in your mind's eye a picture of your mother's smiling face or an epic desert landscape, and have the computer regenerate that image based on your brain data alone? Think of all the artwork that you could create and all the creativity that would come from that. You could imagine anything and just have the AI record that in a picture or a video. I think that some people would be really excited, but also others really scared to learn that we are reaching those capabilities right now. Well, today we'll be talking to a group of artists that worked with the neuroscience department at the University of Paris to make this dream a reality.
This new approach, based on AI and neuroscience, reconstructs images imagined by a subject inside an MRI machine. With this approach at the crossroads of science and art, we illustrate the complexities of the human mind and the realm of thoughts. We are thrilled to introduce this groundbreaking new artwork, the first of its kind.
Pierre and Hugo are part of an art collective trio called Obvious that made headlines in 2018 for creating a piece of AI art that sold at auction for $432,000. Their predictions about the prevalence of AI art has absolutely come true in the past 6 years, and now they are deep in their new project of using MRI brain scanners to project their thoughts into images that they plan on using to create an entire art show that will premiere in Paris this October and likely move to the US to do shows later this year. I get so excited about advancements like this. It's really what I pictured happening with this technology at some point. And I'm so excited because I will be going to Paris this October and documenting the event with Techforpsych. But I know there are some of you that are concerned that this technology is progressing too quickly and that we don't have enough safeguards in place for the privacy of our brain data. I think this project's really illustrative on where this tech is right now and where it's going. So these are great talking points. So in this video, we'll ask them, did you have to train your own individual AI to get it to read your mind? Or is there more generalized AI on the way that could do this? What is that mental process of actually visualizing while you're in the MRI machine so that it can read your mind? What was that moment like when you realized it was working? And what has the reaction to the art show been from the public? And be sure to stick around to the end of the video because after we hear from Pierre and Hugo, I'll give my own thoughts about how close we are to replicating something like this with a wearable like the Mendi brain blood flow tracker, and how concerned we should be that technology like this would be able to read our minds without consent in the near future. Hugo and Pierre, thanks so much for joining me.
So thanks for having us first. It's really important for us to talk about our work, so we're very happy to be here. So basically the whole idea of our work is that we've been following some recent development in the field of AI and fMRI, so functional MRI. And basically there are many papers that take subjects, put them in the MRI and make the subject look at images, and then they use some AI models to decode what the people are seeing from their brain activity and being able to retrieve the image that the people saw. So there are lots of active research in this area, and we've been interested in that because we wanted to use that for our artistic process. So basically we first started by replicating some existing research and seeing that it actually works, and then based on that we wanted to go a little bit further because most of this technology allows you to recreate images that the subjects see in the MRI. But for artists, we would rather like to create new images. And so we thought, why not push this a little bit further and try to go in the MRI, imagine images, and then training the model to decode this imagination to actually picture what the subject was imagining. And that's what we did. And we got to some extent some very interesting results that show that you can actually look at your imagination. And so with strong imagination, what you call strong imagination, where you imagine a totally new image that doesn't exist in real life, the big problem is that you don't have access to this image that the person is imagining. So basically you don't have this reference, it only exists in the minds of the person, and so you cannot train the algorithm on these images. So that's why we divided our protocol into weak imagination and strong imagination. And basically with the weak imagination, it's only about memory. So we do have access to a reference image. Each time the person recalls the image in the MRI, we see how its brain activates, and then you have the pairing of the recollected image with the brain activity. And then you train the model on that. So you do a lot of that. You do 10 hours of scanning on that. And then once you have these scans, you train the model. And once the model is trained, then the model takes as input only the brain activity and try to create a new image and try to create the image based on this. And so you can have the subject go in the MRI, imagine a totally new image, input the brain activity to the model and see what comes out. And since the subject can talk in the MRI, he can say, okay, I'm imagining like the portrait of a woman. And then if the model outputs a portrait of a woman, we can say that it works. But it's more... Yeah, so basically the whole trick was to have a protocol where we can train the model and then hopefully generalize to strong imagination. And that's why that's kind of what we prove in the paper as well, is that yes, it seems to generalize at some to some extent, and we describe our results, positive and negative.
Wow. Do you each have your own unique AI software for your own brain?
So the model that we use is specialized to only one person. So basically that means that each and every time you have a new person, you need to train a new AI. It's the same model, but it's different data. So basically you input it, your data, and then the model is specialized around your brain. There is a lot of active research on trying to have a foundational model that is trained on different type of people. And then you can do less scanning and being able to fine tune this model to fit your own data. It's an active field of research, but for now, it kind of works for visual stuff. But so for going into the MRI and seeing actual images, kind of works. But for imagination, for now, it doesn't really work.
Are you able to do happy face versus sad face as well as with the landscapes too?
Yeah, so what we try to do as well, instead of just focusing on landscape and portraits, is try to associate the landscape and portraits to some kind of emotion. So let's say a sad landscape or a happy face. And that was the type of things that we were looking at. And we got some positive results on that as well, like a smiling woman or like a very sad landscape. We are corresponding to that as well. And it's
during the course of the research that stands out to you as a really exciting moment where you were like, wow, this is really starting to work, or there was something that really was really interesting to happen?
Definitely.
To me, I think Hugo will have another one. But to me, one of the moment I understood that was something meaningful that we were doing is when you have this idea, then you go to neuroscientist experts, and because they're interested, because you are cool guys, they accept to work with you, etc. But once you give them the results and you see their faces like really surprised that we make it, I was very, very impressed, because it's not like in our own research field of machine learning. It's people that are specialized in the brain that didn't believe it was possible, that know that it's impossible and want to publish and are impressed. And that to me was a very important moment.
Yeah, for me, because I'm training the AI model and that I really get the hands inside the model, there was like really this Eureka moment, because like we had once we got the raw data, then there are lots of ways you can process the data. And at first, it just didn't work. So we were like kind of bummed out, a sad moment, and you're like, okay, all of these efforts might be for nothing and stuff like this. And then once you do just this run that you thought worked, then you go and try many different parameters to see if there is something that could work differently. And when we did this type of stuff, we ran across some of the parameters that were actually the better ones, and it actually worked. And actually, I do remember we were in a hotel room in Montreal, because we had a trip at Montreal like a few months ago. And so I was training the AI during the night, and I got up, I was like, okay, I have the results. So I downloaded the results and I saw that it worked. And it was like, it really did all it made for me like the best day ever. I just got to Montreal, the thing works. I have a huge day in front of me. That was like a very, very cool moment, because at this particular moment, it was the moment where weak imagination worked. We knew that we have something worth publishing, that we have something that is significantly better than chance. And at this particular moment was like really like the Eureka moment. Okay, it works. We did not do that for nothing,
And to know that it worked, was that like actually comparing an image to an image, or was it the statistical analysis that verified that it was statistically significant? What did you see that like made you say, yeah, this is actually working?
Yeah, so at this particular moment, I was looking at the most simple stuff. I was looking for the simple evidence that what we do work. So we were not in the statistical analysis yet, not running any quantitative metrics that really do show that across all of the sample it works. It was on weak imagination. So basically, Pierre recollected some images, and then we tried to see from the brain activity if we can recreate the recollected images. And I basically run the algorithm on 100 samples, and I was just browsing through these images on my computer and seeing the original image and the reconstructed image. And I was just seeing that the simple evidence was that all of the recollected portraits recreated portraits, and all of the recollected landscape recreated landscape. So at this point, you know that something is starting to work, because the model has learned that when Pierre imagines the portrait, he should recreate a portrait. And so at this moment, you know that something is working. So I was just browsing through the images and okay, portrait, landscape. Okay, yes, it works.
That's so exciting. Yeah.
This moment is also important for us in terms of science, but in terms of in a broader way, in terms of vision, because we stand for art and science. We stand for trying to make people understand that you can be a researcher and an artist, and that sometimes research helps you to be creative, and the other way, sometimes art helps you to be like rational and try to find stuff. So moreover, it was really cool that it works in terms of science, but it works also in terms of vision. We proved with that result that you can be inspired by art and create good science, and the other way around. So that was also meaningful in that way, I guess.
Yeah, and that brings us to our next point and translated into the art. You guys are actually putting on an art show in October. Can you tell us more about that?
So the idea is, first of all, we release this artwork that you can see the volcano from the automatic writing, and then we will showcase a whole series of artworks that use that method, but also different ones that we will not reveal today because you need to come to the show to see it all. But yeah, the idea is that we will make people understand the science, the link with the surrealist movement inside a classic art show that would be, first of all, in Hungary in Paris in October, and then we will try to make this show move through. We hope New York, Dubai, and Asia during the rest of the year. And so I hope we will see some of your audience there.
I'll be there. I'm really excited to go. So would a device like the Mendi be able to replicate what the Obvious group is doing in Paris right now? Well, the answer is yes and no. The Mendi can track blood flow down to about 1 centimeter in resolution, whereas the average MRI machines can get down to around 1 millimeter in resolution of blood flow tracking. So in order to match what the Paris group is doing with an fMRI machine, we would have to improve the spatial resolution of the Mendi FNIRS device around 10-fold. Also, the Mendi only tracks blood flow in the frontal lobe, so likely you would need sensors more over the whole head that would be helpful to regenerate images, but I think that we could replicate it with more sensors on the occipital lobe where the information for visual processing is done on the back of the head. I think around 12 powerful sensors that could get down to 1 millimeter resolution on the back of the head with FNIRS could do it. There's a lot of work being done right now in combining ultrasound technology with functional near-infrared spectroscopy, because the ultrasound can focus the laser into a smaller area and amplify its effects so that we can get the spatial resolution for blood flow a lot higher with wearable FNIRS technology. So I think that we could get there in 5 to 10 years. I still think that you would have to train your own AI to do this, and generalized AI for mind image reading seems further off because of how individually unique our different brain patterns are. Each person's brain is really unique, so you need to train a specific AI to that person's brain to be able to do this. Still, they said that about voice to text technology 10 years ago, and now we have Siri, so it's anyone's guess how generalized AI for neurotechnology will get. But wouldn't it be awesome to train your own AI to be able to do this with a wearable? The companies that did so would definitely need to guarantee encryption and de-identification of the data stored in a secure location, because I wouldn't want them to be able to recreate what I was imagining with my brain data. Pierre and Hugo said that they really had to visualize with crystal clear clarity to make it work, so I'm not sure that a device could just passively decode what visual imagery you had from moment to moment during the day, but no one really knows how far this could actually go. Personally, I think it would be awesome to record dreams with a wearable, and that might bring us back full circle to the days of Freudian dream analysis for mental health treatment. I know Obvious is very serious about this, and they've been looking at the capabilities of wearables to push the boundaries of these findings even further. This stuff is advancing so fast that the state of Colorado recently released a law that brings brain data wearables under a Data Protection Legislation Act. If you want to see me react to a CBS News program that covered that very topic, click this video here and I'll see you on the other side.